Alright guys, welcome to part 2 of the F-150. Sorry about my voice, I'm getting over some sickness. Today we're going to be fixing the ignition on this old girl. While trying to figure out the misfire, turning it off, starting it, turning it off, starting it, it stopped turning over when I would press the key in, and come to find out it's actually a pretty common problem on these old trucks. And what it is there's a little shaft right here that moves inwards and turns when you turn the key, and it's made out of aluminum, and over time I guess it can break. So along with the one pulling tool that I don't have, so I have all the other different kinds, I got the right kind for that. And I also picked up this part that I'm hoping is the right one. But we're going to get this puller set up on here and get this steering wheel off. Alright, let's see if we have the right size bolts here. Looks like it might be the smallest ones. Oh, look at that. Perfect fit. Or maybe not. Feels like it might be, these might be metric, and this is probably standard. I mean, I doubt it's the other way around, but this box didn't come with any kind of paper inside. Doesn't say anything on it. Here we go. What's this say? Made in China to USA. Well, that makes me think that's probably metric, but it might still work. Alright, now we got a couple screws to remove right here, back here, and right there. I'm also going to go ahead and unscrew my turn signal. Gotta love old technology. So easy. Most of the time. Alright, you want to take a good video or a picture or whatever you need to do of all this, so that you have a good orientation of where everything was, how the screws go back in, which screws go where, and this little plastic ring for the horn, where that was. And you can go ahead and slide this thing out. Alright, we got this guy out of the way. So now we can go back in here and get our final screws out of here. Alright, so now you guys can see that shiny piece of aluminum right here is where that actuator broke off. So now we got to get in there and get that piece out. Alright, so I feel like a lot of those videos on YouTube differ right here, because they tell you how to remove the broken shift rod without actually showing you, and I'll show you guys what I did. So here's the piece that I just took out. Here you go. This connects directly to the broken shift rod. And let me show you how it is situated inside there before it's taken out. So it's going to sit in there something like this, with the cover still on that holds your ignition key. So you're going to be struggling with this thing all day trying to get that piece out. What I recommend you do is turn your ignition key to the accessory on position. Use a punch right in this little hole on the underside of the ignition cylinder, and you'll feel it go in a little bit. Does not need to be excuse me, does not need to be punched out or punched through. You just need to punch it so you feel it go in a little bit. Then you're just going to grab your ignition with the key in and pull it out. And then after that, you'll be able to fish this thing around and through this, take this out, set it aside, and then if your ignition rod actuator is broken, you'll pretty much be able to just lift this thing out of there. My problem is going to be getting that broken piece that is flush out. But that's how you're going to get to this part. Alright, so I got my drill here, small drill bit. We're going to try to drill a little hole in that broken piece of rod so that we can hopefully screw in like a screw or something like that and pull it out, but we'll see how this goes. Guys, it actually worked like a charm. Getting that drill bit to bite just enough was enough to get that rod to come out. So now I just got to figure out how to get my drill out, and then the rest of it will come out. And we're stuck again. Looks like it's caught up on something in there. I was getting out with the pliers, and then it stopped right there. If you look at the new one, it was going, and then I think it got stuck on this last piece right here. So I wonder if there's a tumbler or something in there I have to unstick to get this last piece out. Alright, while loosening that snap ring does allow you to move the shaft backwards. So you can move it. Unfortunately, the problem is that it doesn't move this part, which allows this shaft enough room to get out. So we're gonna have to find a way to get this part out or rotate it to get this last part of the broken ignition rod out. Alright, so I did get it out. What I ended up doing is I got an old rusty pair of garden shears and just kind of pinched into the metal a little bit here. You can see, just to weaken it a little bit, and then I started bending it to try to break it off a little bit, but then it was bending so easy. It was sitting in there like this. I just took my screwdriver like this and just pried up on it until it was bent upwards enough to clear up and out. So then we just took it out that way. And I'll show you guys the comparison between the old piece and the new piece. This is a non-tilt steering F150. Here's the old piece that's broken, and here's the new piece. They're exact same length, width, any way you want to measure it. These are the exact same two pieces. I don't know if Ford just switched with different years, but this is the right part for a 1989 F150 without tilt steering. I don't know if I'm guessing this fits a tilt steering model too, but it definitely fits non-tilt steering models, and at least for the 1989 model year. So with that, now is the fun part of putting this new piece back in and putting it all back together. Alright, as much as I don't want to do this, I need this project to keep moving forward. So actually what I'm going to end up doing is cutting off this notched piece and then putting it back in, because otherwise it just won't fit in here without taking this off. And I can't get this thing to budge. So a guy on the internet said supposedly it'll still work without this piece. And this is a $5 part, so I'm willing to try that. I'll let you guys know what I come up with. Like an idiot, I listened to the internet and cut this. And in the time of trying to kind of wedge this thing back into where it's supposed to be, I actually put a hairline crack in this thing and weakened it. This is the new part. So my advice to you, don't listen to guys on the internet that tell you to cut brand new pieces of part, because now I need to go get another one. But since we can't do that today, what I'm going to be doing is making an EGR block off plate. One more note about this is I am going to run out and get some parts from Home Depot today. Some bolts. I think you put the bolts in here on either side. And then there's something else that you need to do, and then supposedly you'll be able to loosen this piece up. That's the right way to do it. Do not cut brand new pieces, because that's just going to lead to more trouble. I'll be going over this later, but right now we're going to make an EGR block off plate. Alright, so we got our new piece in here. You can see it's a $10 part. We're starting to reassemble it, but before we do, you are not ever going to be able to get this new piece in here if you do not take out these pins on the side. And this is what they look like. They just sit in there like that, but the way that you take them out is you get these bolts. I believe they're 8 32nd bolts, and you tighten them all the way in, and then as you're tightening them, once it bottoms out, you'll see this thing turning. Once you see the pin itself turning with the bolt, then you'll be able to wiggle it out. This side came out no problem. This guy on this side, I had to use vice grips to get enough leverage on it to get it out. But once you do that, this housing right here is not going to budge until you take those 2 pins out. So take those pins out, and then you'll be able to maneuver this piece around by moving these this clip up. You don't even have to take this clip off. You just you can see it's the snap ring right here that you gotta separate, but you don't even have to have pliers to do it. Just take a flathead and move the snap ring up about right here, and that'll allow you to wiggle this whole housing up and then slide your new actuator rod in. And if you're still having difficulty getting the rod in, again, just move the snap ring up more and then wiggle this back more, and I promise you, you'll be able to get it in. So we got our new ignition rod in there. I've already got my top piece here hooked into the bottom. This guy right here is going to hook in to that side guy right here, and basically at this point assembly is going to be the same as disassembly was. Well, I have no idea where my steering wheel nut is, so I'm just gonna go ahead and keep on putting them back together, minus this, of course. I guess technically all this stuff is pretty much as together as it can get. We put all this back together, put all the screws back in. If you're having issues with your shift actuator rod, excuse me about that,
you know, where your the piece of metal in there, the rod breaks off. It's not the end of the world at all. It might seem like a daunting task, but it's really not that bad. I think the only specialty tools you really need for this is a puller, which you can get this on Amazon for $20, and it needs to be this style, like the Y looking one, because the type that has like the little teeth on it that grip like that, that's not going to work for this. You're going to need the kind that has bolts that bolt in. And if you have a modern car or European car, or basically any car other than an old American car, you're going to want to get your own built bolts, because these are all standard that come with this kit. Or you can just buy a kit that comes with metric bolts. But besides that, I mean, I really just recommend taking pictures when you take this thing apart, and mark your steering wheel. That's a good idea for sure. Mark your steering wheel with the bolt so that you can get it back on correctly. And a crucial thing in here that I think a lot of people miss is utilizing. You can't see them now because I put this thing back on, but there's two bushings that are on either side. When this housing is removed, is going to allow you to kind of get the rest of this assembly pulled back enough to get your new rod in there, and it makes your life so much easier. It's not hard to put them back in. You literally just, after you get your rod back in, get your pin hooked up on the top of it, and your little slider pin that locks that in back on. You literally just you push everything back on, push the C-clip back on, and then you line up the bolt holes for the little two studs on either side. Just hammer them back in. You're in business. Put everything back together. And I did actually replace the ignition keys, because I didn't know if this was what was bad initially. And this is super easy to do too. You literally just either move it to accessory on or start. I forgot which one it is, but it's super easy to look up. And then you got a little punch right here. You're going to punch that out, and then this will just pull out. And then that punch hole will flip itself back out if you move this key. So just keep that in mind. That's what makes it lock out and able to pull out. But it's not a bad idea to get new keys too. These are brand new keys. Anyways, I did take off the front part of the motor, not the whole front part, but took off the fan, the belt, and some other stuff on the front there, because I was checking timing, or attempting to. But I think what I'm going to do is, after I put that stuff back together, I got myself a timing gun, and we're going to use the timing gun to verify the timing and reset it if we have to, because this thing does run well enough to idle, but it doesn't idle well. So we're going to use the timing gun to hopefully be able to verify the timing and adjust it as needed. And that's just going to be one more thing to check off our list for this rough idle this thing has. Alright, I got my car jumpering this right now, so we'll go ahead and turn this key, see what we got. That's not good. Yeah, we're in park. Alright, well, still no power, but after doing some diagnosing, I'm like 99% certain that this is all right here, and that the problem is actually either with the battery or a ground from the battery. And the battery's from September of 2021, but I have my tender on it, and whatever I do, I cannot get it to hold a charge right. And I just cleaned out the positive terminal and the positive battery cable, which did improve things. But I traced back the negative cable from the battery, which should ground out to the frame and also near the starter. And that thing's basically about to fall apart. So I'm thinking that's probably our number one culprit. I'll pull the negative battery cable out and see if I can show you guys how bad it is. Guys, all I needed was a new battery. So I might be going back to Walmart and returning that one. Woo! Have to take that fan off. Pretty sure that fan's hitting that shroud, so we're just gonna take that shroud off. Alright, well, at least now we know this is working. I'm going to charge up that battery, take that fan shroud off, and throw this timing gun on there. So I got this tiny battery that I've had for a couple of years hooked up. And this ground was definitely bad, so I temporarily got it grounded from negative just to right here on the intake manifold. It's not a great ground, but it's better than the one it had. Obviously this battery is much smaller than the older one, but this one is actually holding a charge, and that one's not holding anything. So we actually are able to start it back up now. Our new ignition actuator rod is working as it should. New key is working as it should. So now the next step is to make a less sketchy battery wire system here, and then we still got this misfire that we got to figure out. The fuel out of the test port still smells pretty bad, so I'm thinking that might be the culprit. But this is where we're going to end this video. If you found this helpful at all, make sure you check out my channel. I appreciate it, guys. See you next time.